Right, today's Sunday. Is it the 15th or 16th of June?
15th, brother.
15th of June, right? 2025, we got the year right, yeah? Alright, we're in Bath, the West Country city of Bath, and today we're going to have a wicked interview with the foundation reggae sound system in Bath, in the city of Bath, called Sectatone. Sectatone Hi Fi, or was it Sectatone Sound?
Well, it was Sectatone Hi Fi.
Sectatone Hi Fi.
Originally.
Wicked. So, gentlemen, thank you for your time on this Sunday, for providing the venue and providing your time as well. So, thank you. So, guys, from Toussaint on the right, do you want to introduce yourselves and your respective roles in the sound?
I'm Toussaint Clark. I was founder member of the sound system. Roles got defined as time went on. I did become one of the dub cutters at a stage further down, but originally just one of the members of the sound.
Wicked. Sir?
My name is Geoffrey. I'm a foundation member of Sectatone Hi Fi, dub cutter, promoter,
Brilliant.
originator.
Excellent.
I'm Geoffrey Hi Fi. I'm the technical engineer, looking after all the sound equipment.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, as I said, it's great to be able to talk to you guys today. Before we start talking about Sectatone, just a bit of background for people from outside of the UK who don't even know there was a foundation black community in the UK. So, were you born in the UK, or when did your families come over to the UK, and from which island?
Well, my family came in from Barbados, and they came in 1956.
56.
I was born 57.
In Bath.
Yeah. I mean, there's some guys that are missing from this lineup.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Tramp. Well,
Tramp.
we used to call him Tramp.
Yeah.
Which is Levi, which is Mark. He's Geoffrey's elder brother, and he was also a foundation member of the sound.
Okay.
And Michael, who now resides in London, who was also a foundation member of the sound. And as we go on, you're going to find that we've got lots of other people within the community that were also founder people and had influential roles within the sound system in those early years.
Brilliant, brilliant. Roger.
I forget.
Sorry. Did you come to Bath as a youngster? Were you
I'm Toussaint's brother.
Oh, you're Toussaint's brother.
Yeah, so he just filled in the dots.
Okay. I didn't even know that. Thank you.
You're learning something?
Yes. And Geoffrey.
My father, he came over in the 54, was it? 55. 55. So he was one of the first sort of black people in Bath.
From which island?
From Barbados.
Barbados
as well. Michael and Mark, my brothers, so we were all part of that foundation.
And you were born in the city,
yeah. Back in those days, parties and things used to happen in his house, where we grew up, in Burlington Street.
Yeah.
So that was the sort of start of.
And so you were born in the city, yeah?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So Sectatone Sound, for anyone who doesn't know, is the foundation sound system in Bath. What year was Sectatone founded? I know they can be a founded, they can be buying the equipment, they can be a first big dance day. When did it start?
We started in about 1973.
73?
Yeah. And that was on the back of, apart from the sound system, we played in the steel band.
A steel band?
Yeah.
Rainbow steel band?
Yes. So back in those times, we used to play in the Bamboo Club.
In Bristol?
In Bristol, as a residency. Tony Bullimore and Hallam, they were all friends together, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
So during that residency, we would have a van to take the equipment. We used to play there every Friday night. This was like 1971, 72. Every Friday night, we'd be playing in the Bamboo Club downstairs with Hank. And then a lot of the friendships got formed between us and some of the Basai and some of the Apollo sound systems.
These are the Bristol sound systems.
Yeah, the Bristol sounds. But it wasn't sound systems as such, it was the people themselves. We formed those sort of relationships.
Yeah.
But our van that we would use to take the steel band over, Basai sound was based in the Bamboo Club. So like right next door to the Bamboo Club is where they used to store the sound. So if they had to have a blues and play around in Argyle Road or Brighton Street, anywhere like that.
In St Paul's.
In St Paul's, they would borrow the van off of us. We'd offload our equipment in terms of the pans. They'd borrow the van and take the equipment they've got round to wherever their venue was for that blues.
So it was a mutual relationship.
Yeah. So a lot of the friendships were formed right back from then.
In Bristol.
With Bristol and particularly our crew with, you know, as I say, the Basai and Apollo and some of those songs.
And for those people that don't know, Bristol and Bath are about 12 miles away from each other.
Yeah,
so what?
Yeah.
15 minutes in the car.
Yeah.
Sure. There's going to be people here who don't even know where the West Country is. So so, especially people from abroad. You know what I mean? Sure. It's just, but just to help everyone understand. So, what I wanted to ask you is, as kids growing up in Bath, I know there was a big sound system scene in Bristol. We know that, but in Bath, what was the sound system scene like before Sectatone started? Was there a sound system scene or a blue shabeen scene in Bath, or did people just used to catch the bus or drive down to Bristol?
Well, there was a kind of scene, because we're talking. I mean, when we came into sound systems, but for us it was just on the transition. I mean, when we start talking about the steel band, because the steel band is quite a root of everything. Now, St Paul's Carnival. There was no sound systems on the road.
In Bristol Carnival.
Bristol Carnival, in the era that I'm talking about. In those era, the steel band was the main thing, and there was a dance group, and that was the main thing. There might be Tarzan sound or one of those sound systems, and it wasn't as big as how it became in the early 70s. By the early 70s, now everything was in a transition. Equipment was getting bigger, the sounds was getting bigger. And do you know what I mean? So growing up, there was always small sound systems around the place, but not on the scale of, let me say, Basai or Studio 17 became
the big Bristol
big Bristol sounds in the early 70s. So that's what gave us the inspiration, again, because we were now coming into it. So that gave us the inspiration to, again, you start small, but then you grow and you aspire to grow up to where Basai and all the rest of them are.
So your inspiration was from the neighbouring city of Bristol mainly?
Definitely.
Okay.
Well, you can imagine though, back in those times, there was there used to be shabeens going on.
In Bath.
In Bath. Bath had a cricket. They had a cricket club. Which and the steel band as well. So they used to have events going on. And parties going on. And there was
so there was a sound system in Bath.
What was a very
they used to come into Bath.
Sound system that used to reside in.
What was the name of that sound system before Sectatone?
The father of Reds and them.
Great Sebastian?
Yes. So he was resident. He was like the more resident, the more populous of the sound men. You had him. You had Longers. You had the main one that was Henderson, which is Johnny brother. Blacker. We used to call him Blacker.
We call him Blacker.
He had his sound system. It was based in Trowbridge, but he would cover Trowbridge, Melksham, Bath, at all the big events. But again, we're talking sound system. It might have only been 2 boxes. Nothing like Basai and Studio 17 were dealing with that era, like, you know.
So basically, the local Bath sound systems were Red Man or Yellow Junior's father, the great Sebastian.
That's right. Yeah.
Longers.
Yeah.
And a guy from Trowbridge. What was his name?
Yeah. Well, we used to call him Blacker.
Blacker.
Yeah.
Okay.
But even Hallam himself, which is Geoffrey's dad, he had the same system, based in the house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, it's only 2 boxes, but it's more powerful than a normal whole stereo. If
so there was a blues and shebeen scene in Bath.
Yes.
Now, another simple question for those people who are new to reggae, new to sound system, new to what a blues. What is a blues party or a shebeen? I know what it is, you know, but for the people from abroad who are going to be watching this.
It's like a late night party.
Okay.
Which starts about 12 o'clock.
Okay, starting.
It goes on till
that's starting 6, a bit 7.
Early. When public houses are closed, really.
I can imagine back in those again, black people couldn't go to.
You couldn't go into discotheques in town.
So
there was a lot of racism. Say if you guys, young guys in the 70s, wanted to go into Bath city centre to a nightclub, what could you face back in the early 70s?
Real worries. Yeah, that's why we used to move as a posse. You know what I mean? If we're doing something, we're moving together.
Yeah.
If there's a fight broke out, we're fighting together. Like everything is like a posse move. So when people like Hallam and Shaggy and certain individuals within the community afforded us to have a party or a blues in their house, then that was our thing. Though we ain't got the
your version of a nightclub.
Yeah, we ain't got the for that.
Homemade,
we got our own
homemade,
thing.
Homemade nightclub.
And these were a necessity because if you went into town to a discotheque, chances are you would get into a fight because of the racism.
We did.
Definitely.
Or wouldn't even get through the door by the bouncers.
All these things happen.
Okay. And number 2, you don't want to be listening to the Bay City Rollers or whatever.
Definitely.
And number 3, 2 o'clock is early time for black people. So it's just kind of like, what do you do at 2 o'clock? So these blues parties or shebeens were parties in houses or basements, like an illegal nightclub, if you like, with a sizable sound system. And you could buy drink and food there. So drinks were on sale.
Food was on sale.
Alcohol was on sale. Food was on sale, and other things.
Well, in all communities, you would have certain people that do certain things. And it just so happens, Hallam was the barber. Ursuline, his mum, was one of the many cooks that we had in Bath. But you had certain people that were very good at certain things. So she was very good at the big meals. You know what I mean? The whole big pot of goat and the whole big pots. She had all that down pat. So we were very fortunate that we were able to got the right catering, more or less coming into a sound system. So that set us up now as a team. Now, when we were ready now to start the sound system, that's when the jobs started to get delegated off. You got who's playing the sound, who's maintaining the equipment, who's running to get the music, and that gave us all jobs to do. And Ursuline was part of the team.
And plus, for those people who can smoke, right? A blues place where you can smoke and not be paranoid. You know what I mean? You can just have a smoke. You're not doing no harm to anyone. Listen to your music. And not watch your back all the time.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And just your thing. You know?
So, I mean, the scene was already there, but we brought it in from a younger perspective. For our generation. Really.
So just sticking with for a little bit longer, you've mentioned the older people in the community who had those sound systems. So they're your dad's generation.
Yes.
Who may have already passed away now in their 90s or 80s. The first generation of West Indians that came to Bath.
Windrush.
Windrush. Okay. And Bath's nearest thing to an Afro-Caribbean area. I mean, there was nothing on the scale of St. Paul's or Easton, but there was one area of Bath where there was a noticeable concentration of Afro-Caribbean families, and that was Snow Hill. Is that correct? Or London Road?
Not really. What happened? Even in Bristol, there was a difference between St. Paul's and Easton. In the era that we're talking about. Same thing with Bath. There was a difference between like Burlington Street, because most, if I would say before Snow Hill was built.
Yeah.
Because Snow Hill is a early 60s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when your dad's generation came here,
Burlington Street. Everybody was in Burlington Street on that block.
Portland Place.
Portland Place, yeah. You see, so like that was the nucleus to start with, and then as the new development happened, which was Snow Hill, people move out, then you get hosed down in Snow Hill, like, you know what I mean? But the concentration initially was Burlington Street.
Well, how far is Burlington Street from Snow Hill? Is it nearby?
10 minutes.
Yeah, it is.
10 minutes. Okay. Well, so Burlington Street was the area where the first generation of West Indian people who came to Bath settled.
Yeah.
But later on, when the second generation became of age, it was Snow Hill was the area. And that's where most of the blues and shebeens were. Is that correct?
Both, because you still had quite a few that still lived in Burlington Street. So in actual fact, in Burlington Street, we had 12 Burlington Street, which is like Geoffrey's house.
Yeah.
We had 11 Burlington Street, which is Stuart, another guy that used to play in the steel band. But they were up for parties and everything next door. So you got two side by side. Up around the corner in Portland Place, you had Shaggy and the Byrne family, and some of them was living up around that corner. So again, you got another blues happening over there. You had Portland Place, where Shaggy's brother lives across the road, and that was a big Georgian house with a massive basement. Well, that's the first blues I ever went into in 1965.
Multiple, for such a small community, you had multiple blues.
Yes,
Sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow.
And gambling house and this, that, and the other. Yeah, we had it all.
And did you find that the wider community gravitated to this exciting scene, or was it mainly kind of local within the community? Because I know Bristol, enough people from the outskirts, even Hartcliffe, used to come to St Paul for a bit of music and excitement. Was there that kind of interest from the wider community?
Definitely.
In the end,
because like they had a cricket, we had cricket, we had a steel band that came over at the same time, which is Geoffrey's father. He brought over like Barbados All Star Steel Orchestra. So that was like a following of our parents and different people, colleagues of his generation. Then you had like the cricket, which was like cricketers used to come from Leicester, etc., etc.
So you had the dominoes tournaments,
everything.
So the coaches would come from other city, other West Indian communities.
Sure.
To and
Well,
fro.
sure, to and fro. So Leicester would come to Bath, Bath would go to Leicester.
Okay.
You're talking coach loads.
Coach loads,
You
yeah.
go to Bath
And funny enough, right where we're filming this now, this was a hub too.
Yeah.
I can remember one Sunday,
This is the Percy community.
Fat Bar played it here, like, you know what I mean, with 18 coaches from London, place Ram, like, do you know what I mean?
I just let the viewers know we're in the Percy Community Centre in the centre of town. So, thanks for, securing a place for today. And also, people don't realise that there was, for such a small community, would you say barely 100 families in Bath?
Yeah, 40 years.
Yeah. There was also a West Indian-owned, a black-owned pub.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, and that was called the
Long
Acre Tavern. And that was on near Snow Hill. On the London Road.
That's right. Yes.
And that was another meeting or gathering place.
Definitely.
And that actually closed. I mean, when did that actually open as a meeting place for black people?
That would have been in this. I think it was always a pub. It was always a pub there, but when Bunny took it over, Bunny took that over in the 70s, in the early 70s. And he was one of the first black publicans in the Southwest.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And was that the only black pub in Bath?
Yes, definitely.
And so that was a meeting place for the community. And that closed, I think, probably in the 2017.
Yeah, something like that.
So for a long time, that was the meeting place or the front line, and also I hear that there was a hall. It used to have dances upstairs. Upstairs above the pub.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, as we go on, you'll see all the relevant sound systems played in Long Acre Hall at some stage or another. Particularly the local ones. And when I say local, I'm talking local Bristol, Cardiff, Gloucester, Reading, Swindon.
Yeah.
You know, like within this, you know, and then in later times, some of the London sounds too, like came in.
So there was a kind of a concentration of neighbouring Caribbean communities, not more than say half an hour away.
Yeah.
So obviously in the southwest you had Bristol, you had Bath, Melksham, Trowbridge, Swindon, Gloucester, and Cardiff as well. Which is only half an hour away. So they all had communities with sound systems and DJs. So you'd all have friendly little dances or sometimes sound clashes with each other. Coaches from other towns. It was a nice little kind of a scene in the southwest. You know, and then later on you had from far afield, from Birmingham and London sounds coming down. Okay, cool. So that's the setting and the background and you know the Bath scene. So we've talked about when Sectatone started and who started it, and it was around 73, and your influences, etc. We've talked about the area, etc. So you had friends in Bristol, Bassai Sound you mentioned, so is that where you got the know-how and the knowledge of where to get the equipment from, or how did you start up with the equipment? Where did you get it from?
Well, the thing is, as we've said earlier, Hallam already had certain bits to that he used to run blues and things in his house. So and funny enough, there was a situation where we had a radiogram. Radiogram. Well, it was the forerunner to the blue spot, but they had a good bass line. So when that actual radiogram broke down, Tramp came down to our house, and we broke up the radiogram, but took the speaker. And this one 12-inch speaker that we had, we made a speaker box at our house. Me, Tramp, Roger made that. Then we took it up to Tramp's house and fused that now with what Hallam had. So now we got 3 box. And then it started to grow from there. You know, it gradually grew, like you know what I mean. And straight away, by the time we got maybe 6 box, we got more than any of the other sound systems currently doing the circuit here in Bath.
So where did you actually get the equipment from then?
We bought it.
We bought it.
Speakers from speaker
shops.
Because
I've heard other sound men talk about, you know, underground kind of like not very commercialized people like Barracuda who built preamps and other people. But did you actually go to London or outside?
No. We by the time we got to maybe like 6 or so boxes, and then we realized the amp that Hallam had was not powerful enough to get what we want. And by this time, now we're engaging a lot more with Bassai and Studio 70 than the rest of them. And we're getting to understand the league that we're now heading into and what we now need. So we had an amp builder, he just lived just around the corner here. And he was an electronics guy, he used to build rock amplifiers. So, Geoffrey and Roger will bear me out, we had a whole big debate on, we wanted the valve sound, which is what we knew, which is what Bassai had, Studio 17, the valve amp, that whole big sound. Yet this guy doesn't want to build us a valve. He's saying, well, that's going backwards. Transistor is the way forward, blah, blah, blah. So we've got to like persuade him to give us, all right, if you're going to do transistor, you give us transistor, but we want the valve sound. And that was a battle then even between us founder members that went on for weeks.
What was it, for those people that know, is it because the valve amp sound had a more rounded bass?
Yes, the rounded bass line, yes. And the transistor was more spitty.
You call it a dirty sound, you know, you could call it like a dirty sound. The amp builder that we saw, he's built PA systems, you know, which was, and it used to be very, very clean. You know,
so that valve amp sound, which even the late Jah Shaka up until recent years insisted on using from London, had a different sound to it.
But that again, just that transition caused so much problems within the sound, the founder members, because some really And I think I was one of the ones that wanted the valve. Me and Tramp wanted valve. Geoffrey might have been, you know what I mean? And it was a long debate because we're spending money.
Yeah.
Well, the whole thing had to be modernised.
Yeah, it had to be.
So it moved from, like, say, valve to transistor.
Yeah.
Speakers had to be modernised. They moved from, like, say, straight speakers with a speaker in, with a vent, to horn loaded.
Okay.
So the horn loaded sound was a different sound completely, which was this kind of rock sound.
Yeah.
As in, like, 25th century sound.
You know, you had like there's balance between efficiency and the sound that we're actually looking for. So like the modern sound is very efficient, very clean, but that's not the sound.
That's not the sound. No.
We want. So you have to move with the times.
Sure.
But also provide us with the sound that we
want.
That dirty sound.
Yeah. So obviously in the early 70s, the black pirate radio stations hadn't even started, not even in London. So, and I know that there was no reggae played on the radio.
No.
If you're lucky, you had to listen to 2 hours of rock music before John Peel played two or three reggae tunes.
Radio
and that was on Radio
Radio
1.
Carolina or them if you're into that. You know what I mean?
But having that headache of listening to that music that you don't normally listen to, just in case you missed a reggae track, that wasn't ideal. So you really didn't have the airplay on the radio. And so the only time you got to hear the latest releases, if you like, what was the big tune in wherever, in Jamaica or London, how did you get to hear them?
Well, again, because in those very, very early years, we were frequenting the Bamboo Club because we was playing in the Bamboo Club. And we were playing up alongside bands like the Cimarrons, and because we'd be playing downstairs, those bands would be playing upstairs. Matumbi, all those sort of bands of the 70s. So we were always lucky enough to be in the hub of sort of good musicians and music and sound systems. So then, when we actually started to step into the league, it was a question of now going and researching the music. So yes, we would have to go to London and go and pick up whatever we want, you know what I mean? And you asked the question earlier on about equipment. It was still a secretive thing, nobody don't know what Bassai's getting their amps and what they're doing. All you know is when you've got to get in the arena, when you've got to get into the boxing ring,
you keep your contact secret. You want the next man buying exactly the same. I understand what you mean. I understand exactly what you mean, because then where's the competition? I mean, if it's like one centralized hub where everyone gets the same thing, there's no, you know what I mean? You can't get an advantage over next sound.
That was the good thing about it, because everybody had their own unique sound.
And they kept their contacts secret.
Definitely.
And that was with the equipment. So, in the absence of any reggae music being played on the radio, to research what the latest releases were, apart from hearing what you did in the Bamboo Club from visiting sound system. When you started, you had to go to shops in London. Is that right? Was there any decent shops in Bristol?
I mean,
or were they behind the London shops?
Well, because our nearest rivals were Bristol. Well, why would we be buying music in Bristol? You know what I mean? We got to come. It's got to come different. You know what I mean? So that's why we would be heading to London.
We used to
try and keep ahead of the game.
Really shop around.
And what shops in London did you used to go to back in the day?
Well, dare I say it, Greensleeves was the last.
Greensleeves.
That was the last.
Okay.
That was the last resort, because by the time the music got to Greensleeves, we would term that as being commercial. So we're dealing with Coach Shelley. We're dealing with Coxon had a shop down in Atlantic Road there,
in Brixton.
In Brixton. And different members of the sound system had different tastes. So me and Long Dread might deal with Fat Man and that side of things, and Coach Shelley, that side of things. The record outlet that they would have. Roger now might be dealing with Natty and another crew in London. Brixton side of things. But it's all different types of reggae music. Some might be rubber dub, some might be more steppers, some might be more lovers, and you go to different reggae shops.
For the different genres, because people think it's just reggae.
That's right.
Sure.
There's so many
different genres.
Yeah.
That's right.
Certain shops are specialised.
Genres. So those sound men, there were shops like Greensleeves, etc. But those sound system guys in London, like Coxon and Fatman, they had shops, did they?
They had outlets, They had outlets.
Studios where you
they had outlets. Once you knew where to go, they had outlets to get hot off the press, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it would not be a high street shop, it would just be where they're based, like a studio or something.
Yeah.
But then it will go on into distributors.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's from Palmer Brothers.
Yeah, that comes later on. That comes later on.
Okay. So that's where you did the research. And obviously everyone buys the latest releases. Did you ever go a step further and have dub plates as well with Sectatone?
Yeah. I mean, we were one of the first in the Southwest to be able to do that. I know Bassai might have had a few, but as you started to step up into the league, then you had to be prepared. You know what I mean? So yes, we would really go all out and go and try to get ahead with the music, because as you say, you're not getting the music being played on the radio or anything like that. So people are coming to your sound system to hear whatever is the latest releases. You know. So yeah, Roger and Gentan, it was cut dub with CD in it. That was 1975.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And for those people, there's going to be people here who don't know what dub plates are.
Yeah.
So reggae sound systems used to go to reggae record shops and buy the music that anyone else could buy, any other sound system guy could buy, or go to those distributors who never necessarily had shops or had just little outlets and buy the music. But as sound systems competed with each other, if they all went to the same shops and played the same music, there's no edge. You don't have an edge over your rival when there's a competition between two sound systems. So this is where dub plates came in. So guys, do you want to explain to those people who don't know what dub plates are, what dub plates are?
Well, dub plate in those times is totally different to a dub plate now. A dub plate and a special now is totally different. Whereas in that time, that might just be a tune that has not been, it's just a studio sample, early studio sample that nobody else is playing. If
it's
you're looking
not commercially available.
It's not commercially available, it's not even on a white label. This is just what's been done. Sometimes when you look back at those tunes, sometimes the way it was recorded, because don't forget, nobody ain't got no lot of money, and particularly the artists that are coming in from Jamaica, that's a one drop, one time.
These were customized records.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
And like in later times, as the story's going to go on, we had a record shop. So when we had the record shop, now we've actually got to go to Jetstar and we get into distribution now. So because we had that, and we would be visiting Jetstar on a regular basis to get stock for the record shop, we're also meeting the artists. That's allowing us to, even now back in the sound system now, we're playing ahead of the game. So I mean, there's many I used to go to the Jetstar twice a week.
Wow, not in Halsden.
In Halsden, yeah. So it'd be twice a week, right, on a Tuesday, but Friday mornings was always the big one. Because Friday mornings, any artist that has flown in for a concert Saturday night, or a performance Saturday night, they're flying in, leaving Jamaica Thursday night. But the first step they're going to do is end up in Jetstar with whatever they've cut, whatever is they're trying to get a deal for, their latest releases. So Friday was always the big day for me. So that's when I would meet whoever, Gregory, Isaac, Dennis, Brown, you name them, all the stars that were flying in. 9 times out of 10 they'd be in Jetstar on a Friday, and then you've got that personal contact with them. So this is when the dub plates start happening. But as I say, not so much specials as we got now.
Nowadays the dub plates have the sound system's name on the record. Whereas in those days, in the 70s, it was just a different cut. So you may have heard one cut played in the record shop or by sound systems, but you had an exclusive cut, which would be more expensive, and not everyone had. And that was your edge over the competition, over the next sound that you're competing with. So
one of the things that we didn't mention was we were getting pre-releases directly from Jamaica.
Yeah.
You know,
so I want to come to the record shop as well. So
Yeah.
you started the sound system in '73. You're going to London researching the music. How long after that did you start? Was this Bath's first black record shop?
No, there was a record shop before that. Chester had a record shop, on the front line, just a few doors down from the Long Acre.
Okay, on London Road.
Yeah. So again, we used to, we used to get records off of Chester as well. But again, that was in the early years before we really started to have to become competitive.
And Chester was your dad's generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we used to, we were customers of his. Every Friday after work, we'd be in Chester's record shop, try to get there first before the rest of the punters, and get a selection.
And when did Chester start the record shop, the first?
That would have been around that same era, 73, 74, around that
so
sort of time.
And how long was he around for, his record?
Well, he ran that, I would say, for about 2-3 years.
2-3 years.
Yeah.
And how long after that did you start your roots?
Maybe about 10.
10 years
after that, yeah.
So
we were in the 80s.
So in the early 80s you started Sectatone, started a record shop. And was it purely just a reggae record shop?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. And how long was that around for?
3-4 years.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
And so basically you had a record shop, and you, like you said, used to go down to London to buy wholesale.
Yeah.
And then you met the big Jamaican reggae stars.
Yeah.
And through those contacts you got them to voice exclusive tunes for
later on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And was there a big market for the record buying public in Bath to buy for the record shop?
Yeah,
a lot of people used to buy reggae records back in the early 80s.
Yeah, well, what put the kibosh on the record shop was the fact that the location, it was on the front line anyway.
Okay.
Now in Long Acre Hall, and Long Acre Hall was above the record shop. Now there was a couple of incidents happened down there, and you're going to get at any in a dance situation.
Yeah.
I mean, the percentage of trouble that we had was kind of quite small, really, I would suppose. But
they
nevertheless, it was trouble.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, people lost their lives. We had some volatile situations, and because it was the front line, the average punter ain't really coming on the front line to buy no records. They don't really want to come on, you know what I mean?
And the front line wasn't really a massive thing like Lozells Road or Grosvenor Road or anything like that. It was just basically the Long Acre pub and the record shop and the record shop
and the hall
and the hall up above the pub.
And then they had number 3 next door. It was a community space, and Reds, it was more or less a derelict building.
Yeah.
Reds took it over, and fair play to him, turned it into a shebeen, turned it into a blues. So that was always another side to it as well.
So when people who didn't know there was Afro-Caribbean people in Bath, when they came off the London Road, the first thing they would see is an ethnic area. And they would probably think, what? It was a good, at least people saw that there were black people in Bath.
Definitely.
But the only trouble with that, the backlash, is the powers that be realise, well, hang on a minute, when a coach is coming in from London and it's coming off the motorway and it's coming into
you see all these Jamaican black guys hanging around outside.
On a hot summer's day, we're all liming on the front line, and because we're in an era when there was no work. You know what I mean? So we're just chilling on the.
It was an eye opener for those people who didn't know. Who thought Bath was a Georgian cream tea and scones kind of.
So you can imagine the sort of resentment that we would meet from the powers that be in a very diplomatic way. Would they just call it institutionalized racism? We had that here big time.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. So how did the powers that be, when they saw that, what kind of harassment did the community get?
Well, same as everywhere else. Well, you had police harassment. I mean, Tramp got victimized, he got beat up, but there's no more than what would have been happening in Tottenham, in Bristol, in Cardiff, everywhere else. You know what I mean?
But the police, did they used to tread carefully before coming to the front line, or were they?
No, they would just come in.
They would just come in.
No. It was targeted, you know. I think when the riots happened in Bristol, that kind of put everybody on their guard.
Yeah,
1980. You know, like, in the 80s. I mean, he was out there with Dexter. Again, he was out in it with him and Tramp and some of the Bristol. They was in Bristol on the front line on the day when that kicked off. But that was a message. You know, that was a message to everybody. We've had enough. You know what I mean? You're doing this in Bristol, you're doing it in Bath, you're doing it in Reading, you're doing it in London, and you can see the history is that sparked riots all over over the country.
So those people that don't know, the first uprising was in Bristol in 1980.
That's right, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but after that, 81, that's when you had the big uprisings in Brixton and Toussaint and those places. But Bristol was the first.
One of the first. Because 75, 76 was Notting Hill, don't forget.
The Carnival.
So it was Notting Hill first, 75, 76. I think Bristol may be the third. Because it went into Leeds.
Yeah, Bonfire Night in Chapeltown.
To be sure.
Yeah.
And I think Leeds was in that summer as well.
Yeah.
Of 81, 82 maybe.
Was there anything like that happen in Bath? Any kind of...
No. Come close.
Not to that extreme.
Not to that extreme. I mean... We've had incidents, obviously, like everybody else, but it didn't come to that extreme. And I think because it had happened in Bristol and it was so close, then they started to form like the like community relations councils and that sort of thing, and get us as youths involved. And then you would get somebody from the police, like the police liaison officer, that sort of thing, like, you know what I mean, be in on it. So then it became a little bit easier to ride the situation, like, you know what I mean?
There was communication.
But there was still nastiness going on. For instance, we then, apart from being in the front line, sound systems have to generate money. And as you know, sound systems is a very, very costly hobby.
Of course.
Whether you're talking dubplate, moving the sound system, keeping the sound system up together, it's a very costly hobby that is very, very difficult to balance the book. So you've got to find a way. And don't forget, you're talking in an era where there was no work. So you've got to find a way to make your sound system as successful as possible. We were lucky here in Bath that we started to know some club owners and that sort of thing on a personal level, and some of them they'd give us a chance, like, you know what I mean? So like they would give us nights to play the sound system, like a Tuesday night when they've got nothing else going on. Tuesday night, but because it was from an era where nobody was working, we could come out on a Tuesday night and ram the place. And you know, like back in them times, most of the posse drinking brandy and blah blah blah, the big drink. So by the time the club owners checked up his takings for a Tuesday night as opposed to what he's getting on a Saturday night or Friday night, well, he's on a par. Tuesday night he's on a par, and this is Tuesday. So like, you know what I mean, we started to get regular gigs in town on a Tuesday night. Now this is when the broader community know, where there's nothing else happening on a Tuesday night, they want to come to our thing now on a Tuesday night, you know what I mean? But then it went, again, the powers that be with the institutionalized racism. Now, the person that has allowed us in on Tuesday, how you know you can got your license? Because the license, the police might come back now with a plan to shut that down. Because you got all that crew in one place on a Tuesday night. You don't necessarily want that. So like, do you know what I mean? The pressure would be onto the club owners and like to like maybe not do it, but equally they were taking money, so they were kind of in our corner because they're making money midweek, which they wouldn't have been making before. You know, so.
But the police just didn't like the gathering.
Nah.
They didn't like the gathering.
So eventually, the older clubs that we play at, they all got threatened and take their licenses away. So just one by one, you know.
So which, so that leads nicely on. So which, when Sectatone started and started playing, which venues were the main venues you played, both in Bath and elsewhere?
Well, we went everywhere, really and truly, over the years. So, I mean, in Bath there was a youth club called Central Youth Club. So again, some of the first sound systems meet with were in Central Youth Club, where we would play Apollo, Enterprise, blah blah blah
all
blah
these
blah
Bristol
blah.
sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when we really stepped into the big league, now where you're dealing now with your Studio 17, and that we would play them in Ventures or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And Bassai, the first time we played with Bassai was in Top Cat, upstairs in Top Cat, and that was a whole.
Is that in Bath or Bristol?
Pardon, in Bristol.
Bristol.
Yeah.
St Paul. So you played a lot of venues in Bristol.
Yeah. I mean, and then over the years, I mean, you did what you had to do. You're playing in Ajax, you're playing in Sam's Cafe. You're like, we're in the scene, basically.
All the blues and shebeens in Bristol.
Yeah.
And how did the Bristol people, were they surprised that there was such a big sound from Bath? Did they expect it?
Initially, yes, but then after a while, no, because we're always in and out.
So like, they know that
we're all, the characters are all in and out.
Know each other.
All the time.
They know of.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. And I mean, did you used to get obviously you used to get a lot of London man and people from out of town coming to Bath as well.
Yeah. Particularly on those midweek sessions, because again, a lot of places there ain't nothing going on midweek, and like you come into the session now, and like on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, those sort of nights, we got things happening, like, you know what I mean, and it's normally well attended with a cross section.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just black. You got black, white, Indian. You got everybody in there. Like so, it's like, you know what I mean?
European.
Everybody's having a party. But, you know what I mean?
So you played venues obviously in Bristol and Bath, and you went further afield as well than the southwest as well.
Yeah.
Which other towns?
Covering the whole southwest, from High Wycombe, Slag, Reading, Leicester, Wolverhampton, Birmingham.
Okay, and what were some of the big sounds that you played against?
We played Jar Revolution music in Reading.
Well, we played all them sounds in Reading, Marcus.
Yeah.
In fact, how this worked is that for instance, I keep mentioning Bassai because they were one of the biggest sounds in Bristol at that time. So, and they were one of the first sounds in Bristol that we actually came into contact with. So that was a personal friendship there. But there was also personal friendship with, I think it was Conqueror or something like that, was in Cardiff. You know what I mean? And again, we used to go down there and play in the Casablanca, that sort of thing. So then we'd go up to Gloucester, we'd be playing with, he didn't even know.
Challenger.
Challenger. Sure. You know what I mean? So we would generally, it worked out that we would generally be playing the bigger sounds in those particular tones. But also with playing those sounds, the relationship built up. Sometimes we got a real sound system battle. But over the times, then you get to know the characters and the other sounds. They get to know you. So this is
a friendly rivalry. You help each other out with promotion and stuff.
That's how it developed. So that developed, as he just said, Reading, High Wycombe, London, all over. Like you know.
What was the biggest sound you ever played against? The most biggest dance you did?
Well, in recent times, I had in recent times.
Or just generally?
You mean back then?
Yeah.
There's so many.
Oh, yeah.
We played from Dread Demon to Lord Cruz to Nasty Rocker. We played so many sounds.
Yeah.
Especially Brixton sounds as
Brixton
well.
Yeah. But they weren't necessarily, the Brixtons, I mean, they all came with a reputation because at that time the ruler of Brixton basically was Coxon.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And Coxon, that was in a league of their own. It was Coxon, Shaka. You know what I mean? They was in a completely different league. Like, you know what I mean? That's what most of the sound systems in the UK would have been aspiring to. You know what I mean? This Coxon are flying out every week. They've got somebody in Jamaica. Whenever they play, they're bringing you not necessarily next week's new tunes, maybe next year's new tune. Like you know,
like the Premiership.
Yeah. So did you play? So you played against quite a few London sounds.
Yeah.
Okay. And any memorable clashes? Any memorable clashes you remember? There's always one or two that really stick out.
Well, for me, I can remember playing Enterprise in
Enterprise from Bristol.
in Bath.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we were going to drop a dub plate. Because at that time, I don't think they had no dub plate. I don't know if they had or not, but I know we dropped one on them. And it was, it was well cut, and it's like, whoa, all of a sudden the Bath Sounds got dub plate.
Yeah.
After that, then Enterprise, it was always like a little thing between us, a musical kind of battle, because they started to get dubplate now, and like we started
so
to go down.
There was kind of a rivalry with Enterprise.
Yeah. But also Basai, because when you're taking on a sound from the town, you're taking on the town. If you're playing Enterprise, you're taking on Bristol. If you're taking Basai, you're taking on Bristol, like, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing, like, you know what I mean? So there was lots of memorable clashes. I can remember the first time we clashed with Basai in Top Cat. Somebody set a car alight down in the car park. So we're playing on the 3rd floor of Top Cat. The 2 sound systems, and it started to get down to the wire, started to get real sound clashes, started to get real meaty, and like all of a sudden Dexter's going to announce, well, why, owner of car such and such and such and such, look out the window, your car a bun. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, this is the real deal. Like, you
that
know,
coordinate the session also, you get me.
So that was memorable. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got a car burning outside the venue.
So, you know, obviously you talked about the equipment and the music, then obviously the style and the chatting and everything. So who were the main MCs on Sectatone? Because back in the day, for those, the internet and laptop generation who weren't really into, came after the MC thing. Who were the main MCs who chatted on
Well,
Sectatone?
Zebby was the house. Zebby was the house DJ for us.
Zebby was
MC.
from Bath.
From Bath. Yeah, he was also a founder member. You know what I mean? And in later times, then Rubber came about.
Rubber ranks.
Yeah, later on. But Zebby was the main man, and then Rubber came along. And again, if there was a sound clash, let's say Bath versus Bristol, they'd all come out. The Airheads would be out, Rubber would be out, Zebby would be out, and blah blah blah. So there'd be a whole stream of DJs.
We also had musical artists as well.
Yeah, in later times then, Jawoosh was the DJ for the sound. Mikey Dread was the DJ for the sound, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whoever they had in tow at any given time, which could be any artist.
So basically you had friendships with artists.
Yes.
And if there was a clash, you'd ask them to represent for Sectatone.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So you had some...
No, they would be just in Bath casually.
Yeah.
To meet with our friends and colleagues.
And then
and they'll just come onto the dance.
And represent.
Yeah.
Because people used to kind of, because I've heard Rubber Ranks MC on Basai. So people used to change around. Yeah. So when did Rubber and Yellow start with the Sectatone?
Late down, that would have been like, because again, don't forget we're talking 73, 74, 75, in those early years, and Zebby was always there right from the start. And there were also rival songs in Bath, like, you see what I mean? So I would say that they would have started, if there was anything big happening, and big would have been if we're travelling to Gloucester, we're travelling to Bristol, we're travelling to Reading, or anything like that. Those boys would come out and represent and add to whatever was going on. So that they were in there from like maybe like 76, 77, 78, around that sort of time. Like they were always kind of around, but again, you've got to be thinking of who's allowed out. You know what I mean? We were out. We were gangsters. We were out. We were in the baboon club. But like some of them weren't been old enough to be in those.
Old enough to MC, but not old enough to stay out late.
That's right.
Definitely.
That's right. So they sneak out.
I understand. No, they have to sneak up. No, I understand. So you know when Zebby started as the house MC on Sectatone, what kind of do you ever get to find out how he got his style? How did he start with his style? Because even in the early 70s, it wasn't like there were sound tapes. There was no kind of was it like through visiting sounds and developing a style, or listening to artists on plastic? How did that style develop before Rubber and before Yellow?
I think Zebby was always a conscious dread.
Very conscious.
He was a conscious, and that was a conscious time. So he would just tell the story of whatever was happening at that
like
given
a chanting
time. Whatever was happening, he was always conscious. Like, you know what I mean? Now Rubber and the rest of them, now they come with the new whatever that new genre was at that particular time. So again, that would add a little sparkle to it, like you know what I mean? Because as you know, the genres change from just within a couple of years. It can all change, like you know.
So I think Rubber and Yellow started emceeing what, late 70s, early 80s. Yeah. Okay. And so they obviously joined the sound, and other people who happened to be passing by would join the sound as well. So we talked about obviously who you played against. So I know you had obviously friendly rivalry with Enterprise.
And Bassai.
And Bassai. and
John Marcus in Reading. And Challenger.
Okay. Quite a few.
And MP in Melksham.
MP from Melksham.
All them.
But later on, I understand other sounds started in Bath as well. We've heard of Federal, Stereotech.
And
they started in the 80s. And when they started, did you find there was more of a friendly rivalry in Bath as well with those Bath sounds?
Yeah, kinda. Because at the end of the day, yes, there was a rivalry, and I mean, it started off with a real bitter rivalry. Because the bitter rivalry was my ex-wife went to Jamaica and brought back a bunch of tunes.
Right.
Now this is Rubber's sister, right?
Rubber Ranks' sister.
Right? This is Rubber's sister. So when she's brought back all the records from Jamaica, and it was in a sealed box, and the dad, who was also in the sound system, said, "Well, what you got there?" She's saying, "Well, boy, them records belong to them boys."
Yeah.
He said, "How do you mean them boys? Open up the packet." She goes, "I can't. It's for them." And then we had a birthday party, me, Geoffrey and Tramp. We were all born in the month of June. So we had a birthday party with a guest sound system at Geoffrey's house. So this is a week after she's just come back from Jamaica. So all the music we got is fresh.
See.
So it worked out now, that was a kind of sound clash. Yeah? A kind of friendly rivalry, because as I just explained, we're all kind of family and friends together. But that one started off real bitter. Because though, when they play a tune, we play it back, and then again, Tramp's got the fresh cut that's just come from Jamaica.
What year was this when those tunes came from Jamaica?
This is 75, 76.
75, 76.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fight broke out same time, like you know.
Which sound were you playing against on that?
Same time. I can't even think it was Channel 6. Then was called something like that, Channel 6 or something like that. I can't even.
It could be Channel 6.
Where were they from?
From Bath. And this is the forerunner to Federal and
Stereotech.
The Splash Down and all. This is the forerunner to all of them.
And who was in that other sound from?
Same thing. Rubber. Same team. Like the ones that you're gonna see that come up from Federal and Splashdown and the others.
Yeah.
Don't forget that when Sectatone started, most people were in Sectatone. Most of them, of a certain age group. They all lended a hand.
Yeah.
And it's only in later times that it splintered off and went into different sound system. But it started off as friendly rivalry. But as I say, this instance that I'm talking about, that was the root of like a whole, that was war. A real boxing match. It ended up in fight and the whole thing. And it ended up in fight so much family against family.
Really?
Yes, man.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
So those were they were the forerunners to Federal.
Yeah.
So Rubber was in that sound, and who?
Yeah. Well, he was only very, very young.
Yeah.
His elder brother would be in that sound. And so again, they got more family that was in Bristol too with sound. So Dixon, they were in Bristol too, in the same era. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, although we're all one, they had these different little rivalries and different things going on.
And then by the time the 80s started, you had more sounds in Bath, like Federal, Stereotech, and a few other sounds.
Yeah.
So as the 80s progressed, did you have a lot of rivalries with those Bath sounds?
Yeah. I mean, we had a lot of dances with them. I'll tell you what would happen, particularly at Christmas time. We would always, whoever was then doing it, because we're looking at, like, we're the daddies.
The foundation sound of
Sectatone didn't change and hasn't changed. It's been the same way since 1973, right through to right now. So it hasn't changed. So I mean, genres have changed, personnel have changed, but the actual blueprint hasn't changed.
Yeah. So those sounds.
But those sounds coming along.
Yeah, like federal. And
that might change. So whoever's doing it in that particular year, we're going to play with you at Christmas. Yeah. But it's not a sound clash.
Yeah, it's a
friendly. But it's a friendly rivalry. But that friendly rivalry was good because it would be a musical. Again, because of our headspace, we were always, when it's Christmas time, we want to be playing what is happening in the next year. We don't want to, do you know what I mean? Yeah. There's certain tunes that you would play at Christmas, but there's certain, you're showcasing now what's coming for the next year. Yeah. And again, because we've got the record shop, we're ahead of the game. Yeah. But we're always going to have a dance with them. Yeah. And I can remember one night in particular, this must have been maybe like 1985. Billie Jean was the rhythm.
Okay.
Right? We're at Christmas, Christmas blues, Shinehead, man. Yeah. We're in the Christmas blues and it's all going down, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden they drop this tune. And the rhythm is bad. Bad, bad, bad. That is the tune of the moment. We didn't have it. And from that night, in 1985 to this day, I've always made sure that would never, ever happen to me again with that rhythm. So
Federal played that tune.
Yeah. Lucky for us on that same night, to counter that, we had Modern Girl.
Modern Girl with Courtney Melody.
Right, we had Courtney Melody raw. So you know what I mean? Again, we were able to counteract. But I don't know about you, but for me, when I get a blow, I get a blow. You know what I mean? I don't forget it. And I try not to get a blow again. So that's exactly what happened. So for me, within the sound system world, like that particular rhythm means a lot to me. So if you go for our record box now, you're gonna see enough cuts of that. You know what I mean? Any artist that I encounter, I want some Billie Jean. I want a piece of Billie Jean. You give me a special on Billie Jean, you know what I mean? And
so it's interesting because obviously Rubber and Yellow used to MC on Sectatone.
Yeah.
So when you used to have a friendly clash in inverted commas with Federal, which sound did they used to then MC on if they're on Federal?
No, on theirs.
So who would MC for Sectatone?
Yeah, but we may have a musical artist.
Yeah, we could have artists, we could have Zebby, we could have anybody. We could have anybody that's travelling, passing through.
So even though they started their own sound, they would have to on that night represent for Federal or Stereo. You would have either Zebby or whoever out of town artist to represent for Sectatone.
Some of the same songs like if Dexter's in the area, you're DJ on Sectatone, like whoever, you know what I mean? They just do because we're all was in this thing kind of together. Yeah. It only comes different when you're actually in the ring. That's different because it's toe to toe.
Yeah.
But apart from that, if there's nights where Bassline might be playing in Reading, we all go in Reading.
Yeah.
Bath has gone to Reading, you know what I mean? We're all going Reading because it's more or less this side up against Reading, so all of we go in Reading. And we're Bassline.
And so even though you're on, different sound, if you're representing Bath, you're representing Bath.
Sure. So the West Country's going east. The West Country's going east.
No, I understand. So in the 80s, things in Bath became more interesting because you had your Federals and you had your Stereotex. And you had your little clashes with them as well and friendly rivalries. So, and obviously with the record shop, you're getting the pre-releases. You're getting the freshest tunes, you're getting dub plates cut. And obviously you're meeting artists.
And we've got a venue to show that it's not just getting them things and keeping them, it's being able to put them out to the Joe public. So again, we're now playing sound system in clubs Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and now the clubs that wise up are giving us Saturday nights as well. So we got 3 nights playing, so we can push all the music. The artists don't mind coming in because we got packed houses, packed venues. Again, Dexter, Kuba, you name it, all the crew from Bristol, because now don't forget there's no Bamboo Club now. So like sometimes in your own town you want to do something fresh. You want to just, you know, like how we used to travel to Bristol. Bristol might want to travel to Bath. Gloucester might want to travel to Bath. We might want to travel, and it's not necessarily nights where we're actually playing, but we might go up and play dominoes up in Gloucester or nip down to Reading. And it was that sort of camaraderie, and we got to know each other.
About how far it was. Once you're in the car, music's playing. That's it. You'll soon come. Yeah, I understand. So, how obviously you may have answered a lot of this next question, but say you've got a big dance with, I don't know, jam down rockers. I did a lot of searching on the internet, trust me, to find a Sectatone tape. You know what I mean? When I get obsessed with something, I do my research, like PhD on Sectatone, and kind of like and you know, a lot of the online tapes, Soundclash tapes from the 80s are online now. You can go on Mixcloud, YouTube, as you know, all the Saxon and Coxon tapes and you can go on SoundCloud. I did a search on the Sectatone, divided the name into sector and tone together, you know, just to find a tape. The only tape I came across was Sectatone versus Jam Down Rockers in Reading. And unfortunately it was just the Jam Down Rocker side, which was nice, but not the Sectatone side. So when you had a big clash with a London sound, how did you used to prepare for something like that? Typical day, let's say next week you got a clash with them, how would you have prepared for that?
Well, again, we were now moving with the artists. So because of that, we were able now to, Mikey Dread would know, we got a clash with Jam Down Rockers next week, such and such and such. And there's an actual dub plate that we were playing in Bristol against Bassai in Cinderella's. And that morning, me and Roger went down to London, saw Mikey and Shanty Roy, and we decided, we're going to cut some dub. So we got to the studio now to cut some dub. So he actually freestyled it there and then.
Wow.
It's a dub called TikTok, a Tubby's dub. And we're the only people that got this dub to this day. Even the rhythm. Like, you know what I mean? It's mad. He actually just said how we come down and wake him out of his bed, and we pulled the latch, and he psyched me and Roger and me and tell Mikey Dread come mash it down flat, TikTok, and it went on from there. And he voiced that there and then in the studio, like, you know what I mean? And we came back and played that now in Cinderella's, like, you know. Again, there's footage somewhere of that with but we were playing downstairs. And Bassai were playing upstairs. So I think the BBC, I think it was a BBC production somewhere down the line.
I've seen that footage. That footage was
they couldn't get downstairs.
A white reggae MC who's mimicking Eka Mouse.
Yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, the Bassai were upstairs.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you guys were on a different floor. Also, there was a 1983 Channel 4 program called Rockers Roadshow, hosted by Mikey Dread. Now, before I speak about that, I'm going to just play that footage now so that people can see. So here's the footage.
Now here comes my special request to each and every one, especially those my friends, who forget where they're coming from. This song is called Roots and school. Remember the days of bread and water, man. Remember the days of hunger. Don't forget your roots and culture, my brother. You say remember your place of shelter. want to know if you're really enjoying yourself and enjoying the Rockers Road Show. I want to hear it. Dynamite. Well, this Rockers Road Show, right? It's a fusion mixture road show. That means we have music from all types, seen from all walks of society. And we fuse them together and bring to you the Rockers Road Show. We also have reggae music, roots music, Rastaman music, chant music, DJ music. Special requests to the sound system in the area like Sectatone Hi Fi. And to all those nice faces saying, yeah, let's hear it. Yes, yeah. Murder. Yeah. Well, right about now, introducing to you and yours a musical concept in reggae dynamics. A spiritual vibes more advanced than electronics is the Rockers Reggae Roadshow. Do it! Rockers! Yes! The movie reggae roadshow. Rockers! Everybody! The fusion music mixture roadshow. In a Bristol, we nice up the scene. Strictly rockers on your movie screen. In a bar, drunk in a Cardiff. Strictly rockers with the sweet rhythm music. In a Derby, in a Leicester, in a Coventry, on Manchester. In a Nottingham, over Wolverhampton. In a Birmingham, traffic I go jam because rockers, yes, the movie reggae road show, rockers. Yeah, just keep on rocking and swing and do your own thing, alright? Rockers Road Show with Sectatone Hi Fi, people like Rainbow Steel Orchestra, people like Cool Runnings, and later on Spotlight and Restriction. But in the meantime, no interruption, strictly musical selection I play. Yeah, one more piece of them style right now, saying them style kinda new, you know, brand new. Hottest ever reggae program. You tell your next door neighbor or you tell everyone. I, Mikey Dread, at the microphone stand. And this a rockers, this a dance, all packers. Rockers, this a roots, reggae platters. Super watch cola, super watch black and white. But right now, I shock you with me waka. It's a Rockers Road Show in a DJ fashion. Rockers Road Show in a TV fashion. Featuring artisan, dope musician. Jam we comfy, jam. So everybody come along and enjoy yourself. Yeah, come on, man. Once you know some man scankness already, my scene. Right, that's the scene. Yo. Freestyle. Yeah, very nice style. No, scam. A part of this, you know, you think a while. Oh.
Okay, so that the Channel 4 Roots Rockers clip with Sectatone on that Channel 4 program hosted by Mikey Dread. You've probably noticed there's a change of venue. Roger and Jeff had some pressing business to attend to, so they've obviously had to go. But Toussaint, where are we now? What part of the building are we now, and what room is this?
You're in the barnyard, you're in the dungeon.
Okay.
Bits of sound system.
Yeah.
Steel pads.
Okay.
My life.
Okay, so this is where the sound system and the steel pans are stored.
Yeah.
In the community centre. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, I just thought we'd let the viewers know, just in case they thought they were watching another video. Okay, so but yeah, if we do a part 2, then Roger and Jeff will hopefully join us for that, and other members of the crew. So this is obviously, that was what we just saw, was the Channel 4 1983 program Roots Rockers, featuring Sectatone, which was in a club in Bath called the Melting Pot, and all those people in the crew, like you see Rubber with the flat cap next to Mikey Dread, and I think Geoffrey's wearing the
beaver,
and Tramp is the Dread with the beaver as well.
Yeah.
So how did that come through? How did you get into a situation where you were on Channel 4 on 1983?
Well, again, Mikey Dread was always involved with us, you know, and that came about again through the links in Jetstar.
Yeah.
Also, Roger was working in Kings Road in a fashion company called Boy. I don't even know if they're still going. But because of that, the beaver hats and all that was a fashion at that time. So again, he would be rubbing shoulders with whoever, white, black, whoever the artist that want a beaver hat. So that's how come we got all the beaver hats. In fact, we started selling beaver hats to people
in Bristol, in
Bristol, all over the place, all over. Even in the Caribbean, we were exporting them, like, you know what I mean.
Right.
So we had it all going on. So Mikey Dread was one of those people. As I say, he always had a relationship with the sound. So when he got the contract for Channel 4, he just told us and said, well, look, this is what I'm going to do. I think he did Cardiff.
Yeah.
We went down to Cardiff. We didn't actually do it, but we were behind the scenes in Cardiff. He did what he had to do here in Bath. I can't remember. I think it was Reading was another one. There was quite a few different venues.
Yeah. So
but we would show up at these venues anyway. Just to
see what was happening.
Yeah.
So Rockers Roadshow was a Channel 4 series where Mikey Dread would go to various cities and listen to various bands playing. And so he obviously was doing Bath, and he invited you guys. Okay, wicked. So you see obviously Sectatone Sound playing with Tramp, rest in peace, and Jeff and the rest of the crew. And all of that crew is from Bath then.
Yeah.
And it was I wish there was more to that footage, and I guess there is. But obviously they're to edit it for the program, which is about half an hour.
Yeah, man, that was a whole day.
Okay.
A whole day from like 12 o'clock in the day. I mean, the actual live broadcast probably went out. That live session probably went out maybe like 7:30 in the evening. But we was in there playing songs. That's the same venue that I was calling Central Club. It became the Melting Pot after, but that was the venue that used to have the clashes between us and Enterprise, and then back in the day.
So that was how that came about.
Well, that was chaos. That day was chaos, man, because you could imagine you got a Channel 4 crew.
Yeah.
You got the whole community. Everybody wants to get in, and it's just one of them days. The place is just rammed. It's just busy. You know, sometimes like the general public getting in the way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because really, like we've got to. There's things that we got to do. The Steel Band had a part in it. There was a group called Cool Runnings. They had, I think, Cool Runnings were. Can't remember if Talisman, one of those other bands were involved.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So like, there's quite a lot going on the day. So you know.
Yeah. No, for real. So that was good, and that's how I got introduced to Sectatone. You know what I mean? I was doing my search frantically, and I came across this, and that's the only footage we know of Sectatone from back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, so which is great stuff, and that's on the YouTube, and the same YouTube channel as this is on. You just type in Sectatone, and you'll be able to find out. So yeah, that was that was a big revelation. So moving back to the to Sectatone sound. So we've mentioned the early dub plates that Sectatone cut, which were obviously of artists doing a different cut to a rhythm that's on sale in the shops. But as sound system evolved, the dub plates evolved from not just being a different cut to a tune, but for you to make customized dubplate records where the artist is saying your name, like for example, Sectatone is the best sound in the world, saying that on the on the dubplate, and these evolved in the 80s onwards, didn't they, really? So did Sectatone get involved with the dubplate special thing?
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Again, we had the means to do that because we had Mikey Dread and we had Jawoosh.
Yeah.
And because of that, their friends who are numerous.
Yeah.
We just started to get into that sort of thing, like, you know what I mean.
So which artists have you got? Are you allowed to tell us? You know, because I know there's some rivalries, but you know, which artists did Sectatone have on dubplate special?
Well, from Little John. Because we're going into Jet Star, and at that time, Little John and Rusty and J Thomas and that whole other crew.
Yeah.
I mean, they were mainly Greensleeves artists.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so we never wanted the music when it gets to Greensleeves, because as far as we're concerned, by the time it gets to Greensleeves, it's too late.
Yeah.
We got to have that long time in advance, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we got to know like Little John, Captain Sinbad, as I say, our Dunkley, Prince Hammer, oh God, I can't think of the one. Oh God, there's just so many. There's just so many.
All these artists you mentioned, that you've got them on dubplate special.
Yeah.
Saying Sectatone's name on the tune.
Well, that's the first thing that we would do. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get them voiced and whatever. Like, you know what I mean? But the actual special side of it, that came about much later on. At the early years, it was a question of getting a tune before everybody else.
So all those artists were on dubplate.
Yeah.
So as the thing, the specials now we're talking about, where the artist is saying the name of the sound on the tune, what artists did Sectatone cut, or did you get involved in the special side?
Well, we didn't get involved that much. We got involved through, as I say, through Jawoosh and through Mikey Dread.
Yeah.
So depending on where we were cutting and what was going on any particular day, depending on who was around.
Yeah.
So you might get Mikey Dread and Shanty Roy. You might get Mikey Dread and J Thomas. You know, any combination. Just depends who was around.
Yeah. So Sectatone, obviously, did you take a hiatus at any point in the 80s or 90s, or have you just continuously played through since the 70s?
No, well, we sort of constantly played through, but not the genres have changed tremendously.
Yeah.
So like a nowadays sound clash is completely different to how it would have been in my time.
Yeah.
In a way, it's kind of structured now, but in a way, cussing somebody about the mother, I can't really go with that. So I know that's all part of the hype and that's all part of the play. But sometimes when I'm looking at a lot of the sound clashes, I'm seeing Pierre Man standing up, facing off each other, blah blah blah, and music screwing, facing off each other, and blah blah blah. And the damsels. What about the damsels in the dance? Like, you know what I mean? And the whole dance then. You know what I mean? I can appreciate a dance where you play a tune and it's bad. And I counter that, but that's the sort of dance I want to go to, where it's a musical experience. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. But basically, it's So in terms of the clashes you had in the later 80s and the 90s, it's not something that you really got involved in too tough. Kind of what year did what kind of, obviously when Sectatone was playing with other sounds, was there a time after which you didn't play out as much?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
In the 90s and like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
What resurrected me, I've got a son that is a DJ, yeah? Anyway.
Yeah, it's DJ Snake.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to tell him, well look, there's another side to all of this. You might be doing your thing down in Plymouth and Torquay and that sort of thing. That's fine.
Yeah.
However, you're just another DJ until you become not another DJ. So the only way you're going to become that, you got to really start dealing with artists and start going to the root of where the music is, whatever it is, whatever the genre, and you can produce that music and you can play that music different to your counterpart, you know, which is the same concept as how it is within the sound systems. So talking it is one thing. I had to prove it.
Okay.
So I've got to prove, well, me and Little Kirk is friend, me and Little John is friend, and me and this one. So it meant, because we wasn't really playing the sound system that much, so it meant me resurrecting my friendships in Jamaica with all these different artists. You know, I mean, some of them were based in England in the 80s and the 90s. Have since moved back. So it was reigniting those friendships and blah 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 blah, which is thank God of being able to do. So he's been able to see, well, right, this is how you go about it, blah 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 blah.
So the next generation of Sectatone. Okay, that's wicked. Because so basically you had obviously your period in the 70s and 80s where you were regularly clashing, playing other tunes. Then that slowed down in the 90s and 2000s. But the sound never ever stopped. You still played the odd gig every now and then.
The brand was always there, the equipment was always there. But what we did realise is that technology has moved on. You know what I mean? We used to have 2 record box sometimes. You know what I mean? You know, nowadays everybody coming with a laptop. And I mean, if I'm playing the song, I got boxes of dub plate all around here. If I'm playing the sound, that's what I'm playing. Because I'm not too good with the laptop.
It's pure.
I don't want to be. I want to put on a record and know how it cut, because generally if I'm the dub cutter, I know how it's cut. I know where it's cut. I know what's what. So,
definitely.
you know.
No, I understand. I understand. So that's good. So Sectatone slowed down a bit in the 90s and the 2000s, but they never stopped playing. And I know that because at the Nest, I saw you guys for the first time. I think it was 2018 when you did. You always had your Christmas dances at the Nest Club in Bath. So you've always played, not as prolifically or not in a clash vibe, but you've always been there. Which is good. And you still, you know, a lot of sounds lose their dub plates. A lot of sounds lose their records. Next man, you know, fell out with his baby mother and some of the dub plates. You haven't lost nothing.
We lost a lot of the actual plastic that we would have been playing, but not the dub plate. Now that's the difference, you see. Now you were talking about tapes and accessibility to Sectatone. You see, we always had the concept. If we're playing specials and people love that special, you've got to come to the dance to hear the special. It's not on a tape anywhere. It's not being played in my house. It's You come in the dance and you pay your money and you hear whatever is going on. So that was always our concept.
That because we did have this conversation when I was asking you, are there any, you know, like you got loads of sax and cox and tapes, even federal tapes, and stereotech tapes recorded in the 80s of live sessions. There's not many, or there weren't any Sectatone tapes.
No.
You didn't record.
People did record the sessions,
but themselves on a ghetto blast.
You know what I mean? But not to the extent of like how sound tapes were out there. We had a couple for our own personal use. But basically that was the concept. You want to hear this particular piece of music, you got to come to the sound and pay your money to come in the dance.
I understand. Yeah, that's cool. And we've had this conversation a lot, but there's one particular tape which I think you're going to try to find for me. Do you want to tell the viewers what that is? No pressure, mind you. Only thousands of people will be watching this.
That was a session in Reading. We played at the Central Club in Reading with Horace Andy and
Max Romeo.
I think either Matumbi, one of them bands was in the backup. There was a whole lineup. We were playing against another sound from Reading. I can't remember if it was Tribesman or Marcus. One of the prolific sounds from Reading anyway. So it was quite a big session, like, you know what I mean? So we went down there and it was a good session because you had to step up to the plate. I mean, you're playing
Reading sound.
You know what I mean? You're playing. I mean, we used to play in Reading constantly anyway, but this was a biggie now because you got Max Romeo on stage, you got Horace Andy, blah blah blah. And again, with our concept, it was still having forward music to just while up the dance, make the dance nice, and we had it. So that was a good dance, like, you know what I mean. So and it was all on tape. there was various radio stations. Again, radio stations now coming into play, and some of the radio DJs from London that were advertising that dance were in that dance and can review that dance.
Yeah.
Back
So
when
you
they
had
get
the
back to
whole
London.
session on a tape, which you recorded through the sound.
And that was one of the only sessions that we had on the tape.
So who's got that tape?
I got a bully Jeff. He had it. Geoffrey had it. And only Geoffrey had it. And there were no copies. Only Geoffrey had that tape. Whether he's still got it, I mean, I will speak to him and see.
Please, because I'd love to digitize that.
And
if we find it in time before this video goes out on YouTube, then we can add that to the end of this interview.
I'd like to hear it, to know some of the rhythms that we would have been playing back then.
Was Zebby on the mic on that night as well?
Zebby was on the mic. I think Rubber was on the mic. They was all on the mic because again, this is a big session. This is more or less the West Country going down to Reading, and as I say, this is Horace Andy and Max Romeo and some others. So like that was quite a big session, like, you know.
Well, please, you know, no pressure, you know. And those people, when this goes out on YouTube, please in the comment section tell me if you'd like to see that tape. No added pressure. No, that's cool, man. Me and you have been talking about this tape for time. Yeah. So,
well, another good session that you were asking me earlier on about different sessions that we played at. We played with Gregory Isaacs and Roots Radix in Bristol.
In Bristol?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, Tramp controlling the sound. So Tramp get a good friendship now with Bingy Bunny.
Okay.
In the lead guitar for Roots Radix.
Yeah.
So he's telling Bingy Bunny, boy, we want some dub, you know. So Bingy Bunny said, well, you got to come London on Saturday. This was a midweek session in Bristol. So Tramp said, yeah, giving it all the spiel, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, we ain't got no money. We broke. Because nobody's working, we broke. We just about get paid from the dance and blah, 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 blah. But that's already spent before we even, you know. So anyway, come Friday night, we got to make a decision. Because Bingy Bunny got some studio time booked for us in London. But we ain't got no money, but we got to find money. So boy, we decided, boy, the only way out now, got to back some horse. You know this. You know what I'm gonna tell you next. The horse is lost, so therefore we didn't get the Burning Spear done because it was Burning Spear and Gregory Isaacs, and we didn't.
You would have had a special.
Man, we would have had that, and Roots Radix backing it up. Oh gosh,
man.
You know, but that was just not supposed to happen.
No, man, that's a deep story. Oh man, but yeah, you know, going back to what you originally said, you lost some plastic though, yeah.
Yeah. Because as I said, there was 2 record boxes full. You lend out to somebody that they've got something going on. You lend
another
it out.
Sound or another DJ.
Yeah. The one thing we ain't lending out. Let me show you.
Oh please, sir, please.
The one thing we ain't lending out.
Wow.
Is the boxes of this.
Oh wow.
The boxes of these is what we're not lending out to anybody.
Okay.
So some of these, I mean, the boxes, you know.
And those are all Sectatone dubplate.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
All sorts of different things. But what I'm doing here is no different to what Saxon doing. No different to what Luca doing. No different to what Bass I could. You know, I mean, that was a sign of the times. But as you say, a lot of the sounds have lost the stuff because, like with the sound system itself being in storage. I was talking to Snoop with Snoopy, you a few years back, and I was asking him if they still had, and he was telling me, well, like a lot of it can't play because where they had it stored, the dubs start to get like, you know what I mean, like pick up damaged and whatever, and you can't play it, you know.
Wow. So those are your dub plates.
Well, some of it.
Does it say any of the artist's name on them?
Yeah. We've got all sorts, man. All sorts of thing in there, man. Little John, you name it. All sorts of different people, all sorts of different thing in there, man.
Okay. Well, you know, I start getting nervous when I see kind of dub plates. I mean, have you backed them up?
No.
Oh my God.
But this is what I'm saying. You see, you're talking about backing up, that's computer business, but I don't really want these things on computer. Although I should, because if it gets damaged, I mean, some of the studio guys, and now it's all digitalized, the dub cutter might have it, because when we got to take the tape to him, or like take the ingredients, he would have this backed up on computer to be able to cut the dub in the first place. You see what I mean? But in terms, and even then, then a word of warning goes out to him. This is my rhythm, my dub. Don't you start selling this, because if I hear this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's still an old school way of thinking.
No, man. It's just crazy. But that is the. Do you wanna? Let's have a look here. If we can just get a little close up of.
Well, this.
Yeah.
This is only one box here, man. This is the one that it's nearest to me, like, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of different thing here. Well, funny enough, I've just put, this is the original dub, this here. See what it's saying on it? City First Dub. City First Dub.
Wow.
And that is a dub of Dennis Brown and U-Roy.
Dennis Brown and U-Roy dub.
Yeah. No, not U-Roy, I-Roy, sorry. I-Roy.
Wicked. That is absolutely. Do you want to? You obviously hold it carefully. Let me just get a close-up view of it.
That's 1975.
Wow.
So how much is that? 50 years, isn't it?
50 years, man.
Right.
Yeah, I see it there.
And the same Roger and Gentown cut that.
Wow, Dennis Brown. I think you better put him back in the sleeve. You're making me nervous, man. You know what I mean?
I just happened to pick, just fortunate I just happened to find that.
Yeah, man, definitely.
That's in amongst boxes.
Yeah. Okay, well, now that's safely back in its sleeve, I can rest a bit easy, knowing that's not backed up anywhere. You know what I mean? But yeah, I understand what you mean when you say it's old school, but you know.
Yeah.
No, I understand, but yeah, it's nice that obviously a main point is okay. Plastic comes and goes.
Yeah.
Dub plates don't, so you've got all your dub plates. That's the main thing. Have you ever had an opportunity to play them recently?
Yeah, whenever we play the sound, I mean, like the sort of
in recent
we've
years.
got, you know what I mean? Yeah. We I mean, my son Snake, he's into this as well. Like, so he knows how, like, in terms of selection, when to produce. Like, you know what I mean?
Seen. But you know, kind of, I was thinking, some, you know, like a lot of sounds on YouTube, or they'll do a radio show and they'll showcase the music they have, so that those people who never went the opportunity to never go to a Sectatone sound in your heyday when you're playing these big tunes, they still have a chance to hear you. I mean, I'd love to, you know, to hear what I've never heard before from Sectatone, but I'm not sure if that's a thing you would do, you know, do a one-off radio show or a podcast or some sort, even a little, you know, YouTube video where you have the deck sorted out and you're just introducing the tunes, and you know what I mean. Yeah, that's something you would ever do.
I think like my son Snake might do it, like you know what I mean. But again, because I'm still of the old school, I'd be thinking my dub plates are sacred. You understand?
Yeah.
So I'd still be thinking, you pay your money, you come, you want to hear certain things. It's like. I know that if I was paying to go into a Coxswain dance or a Shaka dance, there's certain tunes that they're going to play. Yeah. And then I'm not going to hear that anywhere else. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that gives me the motivation then to get up and drive and go to that dance, because I want to hear that particular
But
tune.
in terms of, forget the radio show, forget a YouTube thing with your dub plates, but backing them up, is that something that's in on your...
I'm listening to you and I can see you smiling, more or less saying this is something that you got to do just in case you lose it. It's something that I'm slow to adapt, right?
Well, it's something for maybe your DJ Snake, your son, or the next generation to back up, because these are priceless. You know, I only say this even though I'm feeling it. Even I'm not even part of the sound, but we've known each other for how long? For years. And you know where I'm coming from as being an archivist. You know, I've had to rescue old videos of sound systems that no longer exist, or tapes. And with Sectatone, there's no tapes. There's that one video from Channel 4, and that's it. But I know you're a big sound, and we've had many discussions over, you know, how many big tunes you have, you know, over the phone. And to see, you know, priceless music like this, I'm just thinking, boy, you know, if it's something you would back up, it would be such a brilliant idea, because I hate for the next man to, you know, lose these priceless things. So, I mean, who am I to instruct, but it's just friendly advice from me, you know what I mean? But, when I saw that, that's the highlight of my day, man. It's nice to see that music there, and that more importantly, you still have it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, which
and it can still be played. This, you know, like.
Yeah, no, that's all good, man. That's all good. So, yeah. So we obviously you've obviously mentioned why there's no Sectatone tapes, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from with that still. So going into the 90s and the 2000s, I know that you regularly do Christmas dances. Do any other big dances happen in the 90s and the 2000s?
Not really, because during that era now, my career now, which is what I do within the steel band, that took off even more so. You know, all the way along it's been hand in hand. But that side of things took off and had me travelling a lot more, and ironically meeting a lot of reggae artists in my travels in Germany and you know, all over. Well, I was in Telfs in Austria, and I never thought I'm walking down the road and I see Taurus Riley, this one, that one, that one, that one, at a festival in Telfs, in Austria. I'm thinking, whoa, you know what I mean? Now, sometimes you're not seeing those artists come to England, let alone be in the middle of nowhere, and they're at a festival, and it's a regular occurrence, like, you know what I mean? Europe is big in the reggae scene. Like,
you see, part of the reason why I do these interviews with the foundation soundman like yourself and Bristol and other places like Derby and wherever, is because we don't want, you know, reggae music and sound system culture is international now. You know, you have sound systems from Europe and you know, even India, you know, where my parents are from, and Japan. But I don't want them to ever forget, you know, through, you know, the original soundman them, who started this thing and who were the pioneers in the 60s, 70s, 80s and wherever. That's why I'm so hot in putting out videos, putting out tapes, and in Sectatone's case, where there is no videos or tapes, at least an interview, you know what I mean? So you can tell the history of the sound, you know? So that's why, you know, telling your story, and obviously you led the way, because soundmen like yourselves, in a hostile environment like it was back in the 70s and 80s, you paved the way for the younger generation. You know, people can't imagine now, you know, what it's like to be afraid to go raving in town in case you get beaten up. It's a different concept to people. They don't expect that. They don't expect the concept of you having to start your own little nightclubs, shebeens and blues in houses and basements, because, you know, you can't hear your music elsewhere, and because, you know, you might get beaten up in a discotheque in town. You know, those are hardships which the younger generation don't have to deal with, you know. Or having to listen to some heavy metal show on Radio 1 in the 70s, just on the off chance he plays a couple of reggae tunes. Whereas now everything's accessible, sound tapes, you name it, the internet. So, you know, it was, you guys went through a tough time and kind of paved the way, which I hope the youngsters, you know, appreciate. But moving on to the modern day now, so in the town of Bath, you obviously yourselves, and you've got maybe one or two other sounds now in Bath, haven't you?
Yeah, Splashdown are around.
Splashdown, which came from Stereotech.
Yeah. Rubber's got his little outfit that he would do. I mean, because it's not
Melody
always
One.
that we want a big sound to go and do something. Like, so he would have, like for the weddings and the funerals and that sort of things, Rubber's got a little setup. So, you know, it's easier to let Rubber do his thing. But again, on that, Reds might guest on that, Snake might guest on that. You know what I mean? Even last week, last Saturday night, they had a session where they were all combined doing something like that.
So you see, so there are... people are still involved. And even when obviously you played in the Nest, and I'm kicking myself for not having a recording of this, because I think on Biggles also play, and Sectatone play, and on the odd occasion, even in the last few years, Rubber and Yellow have picked up the mic and MC'd when you played at the Nest, for example. So it's the energy is still there.
Yeah, the energy is still there. I mean, I think within the sound system culture, if the music's good and the DJs are good, it just happens. You know what I mean? They just get the vibe and it happens. There's no set plan. You never come out tonight to say you're DJing on that particular set. But the music take you and you're just on it.
No, definitely. So it's good that people are still around. People are still even MCing, you know what I mean, nowadays. You know, the music is still there. And, you know, this is a part of the city of Bath's history. Because if I show people the Rockers Roadshow footage from '83, there's also a video on my channel from 1988 in the Long Acre Tavern with MP Sound hosting an MC competition, Rubbers on that, and a lot of people from Melksham and Trowbridge. You show people that old video, they say this is Bath, you know what I mean? But it's a hidden history that needs to be told. Kind of, you know, people outsiders to the city of Bath. Yeah, there is a lot of history in Bath, but there's also a lot of, you know, ethnic minority history, which has shaped a lot of the youth culture nowadays. You know, but is there anything that we haven't covered? Because I've obviously done all the questions and everything, and this is your space as well, Toussaint. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I can't think of anything else. I mean, along the way, there's been, even within the crew, there's been splits.
Okay.
Where
politics,
politics, where you get, like, particularly in I would say in the 90s, 90s, when all these warehouse dances was going on. Now Bath isn't really that industrial, but there was industry here along the riverbank. So as those industries diminished, that give us empty space. So you had a next crew come in now, which would have been like the forerunners to the dubstep and the kind of crew. A different sort of crew, right? That would be wanting to promote the sound system and promote dances, but it's a different sort of dance. This is warehouse dance. So they go and broke in the warehouse. No, we're taking the sound system, set up a bar, blah 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 blah. A rave then. Yeah. So we started to get into that, but we're still playing reggae music. However, it's a different genre of reggae music.
Right.
Yeah. So that caused splits now within because I might like the rubber dub, somebody might want the steppers. And what's making the money? And at one time it was the steppers. So like the way you play the sound system, the way you present it now is totally different to you know, like how I might want it presented. So I might take a back seat. I'll still do whatever task the crew put on me. But I don't really want to go researching the steppers. I'm more into rubber dub.
No,
you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But I'll do what I need to do to facilitate and make the economics work for the sound system. So we started doing quite a lot of them warehouse dances until the law made it, well, whoever doing the warehouse dance, what they're going to do is come in and confiscate your equipment. You know, that was a whole different ball game, because whilst you got the fly-by-night promoters promoting these things, they're brooking in, they're doing whatever. It's our equipment, our bar. So who stands in to lose? All right, we stand to make, but we also stand to lose, and lose a hell of a lot in terms of equipment. So that's why I sort of like eased back off it in that era. And in fact, it ground to a halt, because no one man can be running the bar, running the sound system, getting the forward music and doing the way that things had been. There was no way that a one man or two man could do that. You need a whole team behind you, you know what I mean? And so like that curtailed it. So that led to the slowdown then of Sectatone in the 90s
and the 2000s.
But
not the absolute stop, because you're still playing.
No, we were always on it. And as I say, because of what we're into, and particularly what I'm into, I'm a musician, so I meet with all sorts of different musicians. And lucky for me, I'd be rubbing shoulders with the very same musicians. One day I'm on a plane from Barbados to Trinidad, and when I get on the plane, Uroy's on the plane. He's staring at me, I'm staring at him. I'm thinking, I know you, but I ain't sure. I know you, but I ain't sure. Till we got off at Trinidad. And again, we used to interact with when he was dealing with Fat Man and Count Shelley and all of them back in the 70s. We used to interact. But he was just another. He's the great Uroy. But he's just another DJ, really. Until I'm meeting him years later. Now we're on a flight together, like, you know what I mean. And again, on that flight, he was going solo from Jamaica to Venezuela, but he had to change at Trinidad. I'm going to Trinidad for Carnival. So like we met going down, and a week later we met coming back up. This time he got Roots Radix. He got the whole band now with him, Flabber Holt and the whole lot of them now are back in Trinidad, going back to Jamaica. So the stories are endless, like, you know what I mean? But the friendships are there, and the friendships have been there. And the
contacts are there as well.
Yeah, they've been there for years, thank God.
And people are still, there are still, like you said, Rubber Ranks has got his set. Styley's got his set. Love Star, Melody One. Splashdown are still, you know, playing the odd dance, and Sectatone still do the odd.
Well, I personally try my best, because most of these people are my friends, if not friends and family. So if Bassai got something and over in Bristol I can make it, I want to go and support. Same as if we got something, come over and support, like, you know what I mean, and Steve and the rest of the posse. They do you know what I mean? So it is a kind of a oneness. The only time it comes anything different to that is when we're actually in the ring, and then it is a musical competition. You know what I mean?
I understand. And in terms of outdoor events, I know that back in the 80s, you had Bath Carnival sound system used to spring up on the street. Do you want to tell us a bit about when that was and what sound used to play?
Well, again, we used to play, Federal used to play, whichever is the, you know, we all used to do things.
Bath
like, you know,
Caribbean Carnival, was it a general carnival?
Pardon?
Was it Bath have a Caribbean Carnival, or was it a general Bath Carnival?
They had the general Bath Carnival, but because steel band has always been integral to Carnival, Bath, Bristol, like, we would fit into the Bath Carnival. However, then Marcia became more involved. We needed people at the top table to be able to put our flavour into it, like, you know what I mean. So it did become a West Indian Carnival at one time, where we could get the costumes in from London, and you know what I mean, bring different sounds and things, and make it.
So where were the sounds strung up then?
When?
Where?
They'd be in the park, or they might have like an after party in the same nest. It wasn't the nest at that time. Can't even think what it was called then. Back then.
So it'd be a local club.
Yeah, there'd be a club or something where there's an after party and so forth.
And even now, I mean, whenever there's a carnival, I suppose I know that the local sound Biggles they play. But do any of the local MCs or local sounds play at any of these outdoor things now in Bath?
Well, no. And that is my personal beef, because when we were in control of the purse strings, we were able to make sure everybody got a fair share of what was going on. Right now, the Carnival Committee, I mean, dare I say it, I'm not sure if I'm going to be done for slander here, but they deal with things how they want to deal with things. And so although there's established sound systems here, long before Biggles, they will use Biggles time and time again. So when we're playing against Biggles, I might put on that dance, but it's for a reason. It's, well, don't forget who started this. And no matter what you playing now, we've been playing that a long time. No matter what you're doing in the future, we know what's going on. And that is my vocal, and actual, I will demonstrate that by actually
playing all the double.
You know, if I'm playing the sound, this is what's coming down. You know what I mean? Snake might come a little bit different, but if it's me, well, that's what's coming down.
So basically, the carnival as it is now, there is reggae played, but the splashdowns or the sectatones aren't invited.
Nah.
And why is the reason for that?
I don't really want to slander anybody on camera.
But there's a question mark as to why.
There is a question mark.
Obviously, Sectatone are the original, you know, sound system. Splashdown, they've been around for quite a while.
All of them.
So those are essentially Afro-Caribbean sound systems.
But
they don't play at the they don't get a space at the carnival.
Nor does a steel band.
Nor does the
No. So you got the samba band and Biggles. So you understand what I mean? That's why we would take exception. To know that I was in the first St. Paul's Carnival, I was in the first of these carnivals that they would have around here, and to now see how it's gone, so a point for me. But what I would do then is put on my dance now. And invite Biggles or whoever they got playing. You come in my dance. No matter what you've done that day, you know, come and play with me though tonight. And if they're not available, no problem. Me and Splashdown, me and this body, me and Bassai, me and whoever. Like, you know what I mean? We're going to do our thing. You understand what I'm coming from?
I would like to see Sectatone and Splashdown and the other established bar sound systems play. So, you know, at the Carnival in Bath. So, you know, we're not going to say why, but it's a question mark. It's a question that there's no harm in asking the question why.
Well, it depends who you've got on the committees that are organising these things. How much do they know? Because somebody only can demonstrate what they know.
So maybe they haven't gone into the history of Bath's reggae sound systems and steel bands. Maybe they don't know. And maybe if they watch this video, then may this video obviously give them a little bit
again
of,
when Marcia was on the committee for it, then it started to integrate. You know what I mean? But we would never handle the budgets and not be transparent to everybody. You know what I mean? The samba band, the steel band, the sound systems, rock band, whoever. If it's got to be dished out, it's dished out and it's dished out fairly. So yes, the question still remains.
The question remains.
Yeah.
We obviously no one's here to explain, but you know, there's no harm in asking the question. There's no harm in asking the question, and you know, maybe in future this may jog someone to think, well, yeah, let's get Sectatone or let's get whoever to play at the Carnival and the Rainbow Steel Band. Point taken. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, and we'll go as far as that. You know what I mean? But any kind of advice now as we wrap up, unless there's anything else you want to mention. But any advice or message to the people who are watching this video?
Well, not really. I mean, for me, life in general is about learning.
Yeah.
Whether you be learning steel band, you're learning sound system, you're just learning, like, you know what I mean? Things that we would have done in the 70s, you build on it. You had good experiences, you had bad experiences, but you build on it, you know what I mean? And I'm sure if you ask Topper in Bristol the same thing, he's going to tell you the same thing. If you ask any of the guys from Enterprise or any of the sound systems, probably anywhere in the country, they would tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's all a learning curve, you know, and hopefully we've got enough foundation to be able to build and go up. You know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, what a lot of sound systems don't have is the next generation. So DJ Snake, and what's the name of the other DJ with the next generation of Sectatone?
Well, it's Snake more than anything else.
Yeah.
Snake is the one that he's actually out there. As I say, I've only resurrected what we do just to just let him be aware of there's another side to sound system and DJing. And
Snake is familiar with all the old roots tunes and everything. You've schooled him on all the tunes.
Yeah, everything. So he's got
a good foundation selector and a modern selector.
And he's got to be modern. Yeah.
Okay. So I've seen this video as well on YouTube from a few years ago of Junior Morgan. MCing on the Sectatone. Was he just passing by? How did that
No. Well, it just works out that his wife plays in the steel band, right?
Okay,
So he was, you know, on her visits to Jamaica, up and down. She's telling me about her husband and blah, 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 what he's doing and blah, blah, blah. So we made this contact before he even came to England. He was cutting dubplates for us in Jamaica anyway. And he's from Spanish Town, so he got a whole nother crew in Spanish Town that he's dealing with. And because you know him, then you get others that come along, same thing. So when he comes to England, he comes to England to us, like, you know, so he's only in Bristol, like, you know what I mean,
so he just came down.
Yeah. And will at any given time, you know.
No, definitely.
And same thing again. No matter who visiting artists are coming to him, they will. I mean, the other day, last year, Black Uhura was in Bristol. That's his posse again, like, you know what I mean. We all end up in the dance, and it's like, you know what I mean. It's kind of who you know, and it just spreads from there.
It's important. You built up all those contacts over the last, you know, 50+ years. But I think you know, we've covered a lot of history for, you know, Bath's, you know, foundation sound system, which is still going on strong here since 1973, and are still playing and can still play.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I look forward to you know, Sectatone, you know, representing at the Bath Carnival, if they can, and getting to hear some of those tunes in that box.
You know what I just tell you? You better pay your money and come to the dance.
So there's no guest list on that. No, it's been a pleasure, Toussaint, to speak to you about the history of Sectatone, and with Jeff and Roger. And yeah, thank you for your time today. And hopefully this video will educate a lot of people about Bath's oldest foundation sound. Big respect,
Thank you, brother.
sir.
Enough
Take
respect.
care. Take care. Bless.
Blessings.
Bless.
Sectatone. Murder everything, bury them. Yeah man, TC, Snakey, Leroy, Papa Field, original Kirk. Whatever they be with a bargain on a deal. Sectatone, foundation sound, from then until now, still strong, yeah? Let me do this every day. Sectatone murder them in the sound, trying to test the Sectatone. You are gonna die, 'cause the Sectatone keep killing sound boy. If you try to play our sound goes 6 foot underground. And you know the Sectatone don't play. And the mama never tell you, say Sectatone not champion. I bet your mama never tell you, say a Sectatone not foundation. And your papa never tell you, live your life sound, live your life. You try to test Sectatone sound, boy, you're gonna die. Just wipe the tears from out your eyes. Yeah, Sectatone are the best, never lose no contest. Everything test the Sectatone will lay them to rest. But your mama never tell you, say never play Sectatone. And your mama never tell you, say, and never you try to test. And your papa never teach you, say Sectatone, yeah, we are sound killer, no. Sectatone rule. Some sound them a fool, yeah, 'cause them can cross me border. I said that sound now them on the order. He said them can cross me border. Sectatone now them on the order, yeah. Sound try to test and we'll lay a sound to rest. See the Sectatone we full of dubplate. If I sound wanna die,
Sectatone, Leroy, DC, Snake, Daddyfield. A large percent of I don't know a Sectatone, the real sound, literature and endorse. Sectatone, for real. Let it go. No, 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 you can't take the champion sound. No way. Sectatone, number one. Anything that you can do, Sectatone can do it better. Him are the roughest, Sectatone are the toughest, yeah. And anything that you can play, Sectatone can play it better. Dancehall ruler, Sectatone, dancehall ruler, yeah. Sectatone can play them, but you cannot play. If you ever try to play what we play, we will dance you. Sectatone will dance you, yeah. So anything that you can do, Sectatone can do it better. Him are the roughest, Sectatone are the toughest, yeah. Should have been coming bloody every time. Sad watches tonight, them I could die. Sectatone hot again. Now dance, I'll kill off the town them. Sectatone, now beg no friend. Anything that you can do, Sectatone can do it better. Him are the roughest, Sectatone are the toughest, yeah. And anything that you can play, Sectatone can do it better. Him are the ruler, Sectatone, him are them cooler, yeah. I'll never kick up and a gallop and a guan. Champions on a hit round the dance hall. Who come fi mash it up, them toast and a jam. Make them know why we run the dance hall for real. Make them know for real. Oh yeah. So anything that you can do, Sectatone can do it better. Him are the roughest, Sectatone, him are the toughest, yeah. And anything that you can play, the big bad sound can play it better. Dancehall ruler, make them know you're the dancehall cooler. Make them know, say you are the ruler.
One top. Anything going on? Sectatone, DJ Snake. We give thanks to life and job blessing, you know. Big sound Sectatone, no sound can't test him, you know. Kick what? If from the Vine, I Sectatone I play. Sectatone sound, one to them DJ Snake. Last year we go easy, this year we have to go harder. Now follow them stress out and get maga. Double up the step, you're climbing up the ladder. Sectatone, the glory and power, your blessings still a shine. You make them stress you out because them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. I take the glory and power, your blessings still a shine. You make them stress you out, them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. Sectatone, positive and negative people in that own ya. Be a leader, you govern Panagonia. Wicked and get with that than plunder. Can't intimidate you physically with them gunja. Life light, life word, life thought. Put in the work and go for anything you want. Go for the Grammy billboard and top the chart. Nurture the tree, know what you plant. The glory and power, your blessings still a shine. They make them stress you, them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. Sectatone, glory and power, your blessings still a shine. They make them stress you, them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. Serena pass your place and make the people them decline. A righteousness a govern up the ground we have to shine. It's not about the work you do, the smartest have to climb. When me say go easy, put on the gun, stop the crime. See people where you smile up with your powder and them eye up. And what of them a ball up to you. Most I see and know what's going on. I take that tone and play the DJ Snake and tell them glory and power, your blessings still a shine. They make them stress you out, them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. Sectatone, glory and power, your blessings still a shine. They make them stress you out, them too bad mind. One know how you live or you survive and how you climb. Can't take what's mine. Life was hardened, fi Snake do the work. Him no sit down pan no corner, no do the lurk. From the Vine, coconut juice at them. I Sectatone and DJ Snake, I play the body sing away.
Sectatone, and I got to big up Leroy Fields. Yeah, you're my snake, TC and the crew. Big up, Ultra Super Black is here. Out and let them know. Why you shout it out and let them know. Why you ball it out and let them know. Sectatone make you bad, so you ragamuffin and you jumbo. Out there now. Rambo, you Rambo. Rough, you rough. This Sectatone and them zinc pan mash up. Rambo, we in our east and west. Easy no fields, you're the best of the best. Rambo, we in our north and south. No tin pan cannot get we out. Rambo, we Rambo anywhere we go. Yes, Leroy, you come to star up the show. Di-do. You ragamuffin and you jumbo. Sectatone make you bad, so you ragamuffin and you turbo. In a this ya dance make you kill, so out there now. Rambo, we Rambo in a sound clash. Any sound test like orange and get squash. Rambo, we Rambo in a juggling. Yes, Sectatone him no fear anything. Rambo, you Rambo anywhere you go. Yes, Sectatone you come fi star up the show. Di-do. You ragamuffin and a kill sound. You ragamuffin and a kill clown. Sectatone come fi kill sound. Out and let them know. When you ball it out and let them know. When you shout it out and let them know. We ragamuffin and we jumbo. We ragamuffin and we guan, so out there now. Rambo, we Rambo. Rough, we rough. This Sectatone and them tin pan mash up. Rambo, we in our east and west. Yes, super black, you are the best of the best. Rambo, we in our north and south. No tin pan cannot get we out. Rambo, we Rambo anywhere we go. Yes, Sectatone, you come to star up the show. Di-do. You ragamuffin and you jumbo. You ragamuffin and you Rambo. You ragamuffin and you turbo. Out there now. Say Sectatone not deal with war. This a fields not promote no war. Come to the test, Leroy deal with war. All a son boy gonna full them up a scar. Buck them select a bone with a crowbar. Then me drive out, me say in a we car. So them find out Sectatone and blood. Right now we are real superstar. Out and let them know. Out and let them know. Why you ball it out and let them know. We ragamuffin and we jumbo. We ragamuffin and we turbo. Sectatone, a Sectatone. Son boy, you're like a king without a throne. Yeah man, you need a girl to feel up all him tone. Yeah, me a cinema them for no say I represent for Sectatone. Kill some sound boy and run them home. Yeah, me a cinema Leroy. Snake, feel. Yeah, me a say Father TC. Big up yourself in you. Now we are calling up now the veteran Little John. Tap up, come kill a jump.
Yeah man, Sectatone, yeah. Sectatone, yeah. Sectatone, yeah. I was born to kill, he that sound boy. Sectatone was born to kill, he that sound boy. With dubplate and louder 45. So how do you kill, he that sound boy in a dance hall? How do you kill, he that sound boy in a dance hall? Enough dubplates and lot of 45. Let me tell you I've something good. Listen to Sectatone, or we might kill sound boy. Kill sound boy, you know the dance sound boy. Sectatone, yeah. Kill sound boy, you know the dance sound boy. Oh yeah. So how do you kill that sound boy in a dance hall? How do you kill that sound boy in a dance hall? With enough dubplates and 45. Let me tell you I've something good. Listen to Sectatone, or we might kill a sound boy. I was born to kill, he that sound boy. Sectatone was born to kill, he that sound boy. With dubplates and 45. Kill sound boy, you know the dance boy. Oh Lord, boy. Kill sound boy, you know the dance boy. Lord, boy. So not good die. So not good die. Oh yeah, they want good die. How do we kill it that sound boy in a dance hall? How do you kill
So I'm not moving on. I wanna hear your songs. I'll never walk away when Sectatone I play. So I'll never walk away. I wanna let you go. I'll never walk away. Wanna let you go. I'll never walk away. I wanna let you go. When Sectatone's on play.
Diddle bop, diddle bop, Sectatone rock, non-stop. Where's the dread? A mash we come for mash it down flat. Tell them. Bibo.
Mash we come for mash it down flat. Mash we come for mash it down flat.
Just like that.
Mash we come for mash it down flat.
Right on spot.
Mash we come for mash it down flat.
Lord, inna me bed, inna me room, I take a nap. When me take a stock, me hear me front door knock. Run downstairs and me pull the latch. Try TC and a zebby pan spot. Tell Mikey Dread come mash it down flat. Tick tock, tick tock. The dance all pack and the Sectatone rock. Tick tock, tick tock. Everybody happy and the people them are hot. Tick tock, tick tock. Say roots and culture me deep in that. I and I tickle like the hands of a clock. Tick tock, tick tock. You ever rock and the dance all about. Tick tock, tick tock. Sectatone a play and the dance can't flap. No star, no star. I and I rock you on the one no war. No star, no star. All you got to do, you better forward to the bar. Yes, star.
Buy out the bar.
We just a rock, tick tock. Rock, we just a rock, we just a rock. Sectatone a play, we ma play non-stop. Rock, we just a rock, we just a rock. Here a star. Bass down a bottom and the treble pan top. The bass down a bottom and the treble pan top. The data them a step it in the militant frack. Tick tock, tick tock. Hey, when the set a play, me no want no boy just a chat like idiot. Rock we just a rock, we just a rock non-stop. Rock we just a rock, we just a rock. Rock we just a rock, we just a rock. Yes, rock we just a rock, we just a rock. Hey, hey.
Stop.
Yes,
The rock we just a rock non-stop.
Shanty a sing, Mikey Dread in just a chat. Sectatone a play and a play non-stop. The dance all hot, everybody just a rock. I and I step it in the big beaver hut. Tick tock, tick tock. Roots and the culture me deep in a that. When me chat, me no want no back. Tick tock, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling dong. Bang 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 ding-a-ling-a-ling dong. Yeah, bang bang ding bang ding-a-ling-a-ling dong. Sound like Sectatone. Them bad, them bad, them bad, them bad, them bad. Bad them bad, them bad, them bad, them bad. Boy, bad them bad, them bad, them bad, them bad. Make enough sound, man, mad. Mad them make enough sound, boy, bad. Bang 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 ding-a-ling-a-ling bang 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 boy. Bang 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 boy. Me say a mash we come fi mash it down a flat. Yes, mash we come fi mash it down a flat. Say that inna me house, inna me room I take a nap. And when me take a stock, me hear me front door knock. Right pan spot, say me sight up a cup. Him a feel like me down flat. Yes, come feel like me down fat. Him get the news, say me have the herb stock. And like him come feel like me down a flat. Ding 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 bang 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 ding 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 wang wang ding 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 ding. A special request to everyone, young and old, slim and fat. Where's about that?
Mash we come fi mash it down flat.
What's that?
Mash we come fi mash it down flat.
Just like that.
A mash we come fi mash it down flat.
TC,
Mash we come fi mash it down flat.
Zebi,
Tick tock,
mash it.
tick tock, tick tock.
Levi, how much we come fi mash him down flat? Yes, mash we come fi mash him down flat. Flat, 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 Rasta. Bury them, bury them. Dead on the dead. Enough sound boy are going like them hot. But what? Sectatone are gonna just mash them down flat. Quiet. Riot. Sectatone, you hot. Go on, Levi. Mash we come and mash it down flat. Yes, mash we come and mash it down flat, 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 flat.